For day one of Engineering Week, I'm here with Forrest, the Radiotherapy Equipment Manager, who's going to tell us about his job role and how he works with the RTS team. So Chris, tell us a bit about what you do.
Okay, so I'm the Radiotherapy Equipment Manager and I'm a clinical technologist by profession. So we take the clinical aspects of our patients and put them together with technology. Okay. So the first aspect I'd like to talk about is the radiotherapy equipment management. So we're dealing with the maintenance aspects of the equipment here. So in the NHS, we all have a responsibility for our patients' welfare. In the technology section, we have also a responsibility for our equipment's welfare. So we kind of look after the equipment to make sure that we can deliver the treatment. So we've got a set of very complex, high-value equipment that we look after, and these are bits of equipment like linear accelerators, CT scanners, and treatment planning systems that are used to plan our patients' treatments for radiotherapy. So we maintain the equipment, we service the equipment according to the manufacturer's recommendations. So they publish a very thick manual that tells you all the tasks that we need to do to maintain the equipment. And we add tasks onto that based on our experience of the equipment. So things that might not last as long as we expect, we schedule them to be replaced a bit more frequently. And these bits of equipment all talk to one another, interface to one another. So on the interfaces and for the other equipment, we have to add tasks to make sure that all that runs smoothly. So we have a team of guys on site, and they're on site because we can respond really quickly to them, to the problems we have with the equipment. So we can be down there in 5 or 10 minutes responding to faults that the staff report from downstairs. And the last aspect is the continuous monitoring of the performance of the equipment. So we're always gathering data about the performance of the equipment, and the equipment is always uploading data as well onto our servers. So we can interrogate those servers to see how the equipment's performing without actually going down there on the equipment. So the equipment can warn us if there's something about to wear out or something that needs replacing, which is really useful. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the equipment life cycle. So the equipment obviously it comes in at the beginning of its life and it runs through its lifetime, which can really be up to 10 years for major pieces of equipment. And at the end of that, we decommission the equipment. Radiotherapy equipment evolves very quickly. The techniques evolve very quickly, so we can't have the same piece of equipment staying static throughout its whole life cycle. So we're constantly upgrading the equipment. So about every 3 to 4 years, the equipment goes through a major upgrade to improve its performance or its capabilities. You might look at that a bit like a CD player. You know, 15 years ago, people were using CD players to listen to music, and then we started having MP3 players, and now we just stream it through applications like Spotify. So nothing stands still in technology. So every 10 years, we replace the equipment. And when we actually replace a piece of equipment, we need builders involved in that because we have to have the room changed to accommodate the equipment and the different aspects for the operators. We have engineers that come and install the equipment. We have physicists that are used to commission the equipment, and radiographers who are actually using the equipment carry out clinical testing on it. And then we have the doctor's equipment. They're actually prescribing treatment specific to that type of technology that we have. So to install a new piece of equipment like a linear accelerator can take 3 to 4 months. So it involves tens of people, there are hundreds of tasks involved, and it's my job to try and pull that together and coordinate it so that we end up turning the machine over for use just in time to treat the patients.
Wow, Chris, it sounds like you are a busy man, not only maintaining our current systems, but always looking to upgrade and improve them. So I've noticed that there's a pretty exciting looking board behind you. And can you tell me a bit about this board? I think you call it the project board?
Yeah, so part of our role really is continuous development improvement. Because as I said before, we can't just stand still because nothing will progress. So, for example, something that might be worth mentioning is that when we install a new piece of equipment in a room, we spend an amount of time observing the operators to see how they use the equipment. So we look at the way that they walk in the room, where they're picking up accessories to use as part of that clinical process. And we think, well, wouldn't it be better to move that item a bit close to where they need it? They need information when they're treating the patient, so that's data from computer systems. So we might say, well, wouldn't it be better to put a bigger screen in the room or a screen in a different place so that the information that they need as part of the treatment is directly to hand at the point of care. So we're always looking at ways to make things safer, more efficient, quicker, cheaper, more cost effective. What you can actually see behind me is a list of our ongoing projects. So normally we have about 50 to 60 projects on the go at any one time. And these can be a whole range of things. Things like when we check in the safety equipment, do we need some new tools to do that? So every project is listed on that board there, and we use that board to progress our projects through the system.
It's great to know that you're always looking to improve and innovate, Chris. So you obviously don't do this work alone, and how is the rest of your team involved?
Okay, so you know, I can't hide the fact that the most important part of this whole thing is the staff. You know, our staff are our greatest assets in this. Everything is done by teamwork. We have multidisciplinary teams that we do these projects with. Even in my own department, we have a clinical computing team that deals with all the clinical computing aspects of the role, things like treatment planning systems, networks, servers, workstations. We have an electronics team that they're specialised in the electronic aspects of the role. We have mechanical engineers, and they do things like, not only do they do work on the radiotherapy equipment, but they do device design and development. And then we have teams that are responsible for training as well, because obviously the ability to do our roles depend on us learning all the time and keeping our knowledge up to date. And we always need new people coming in, and something that we started doing over the last few years is having some apprentices in our team. And we'll be hearing a bit more from one of our apprentices a bit later in the week.
Well, it's been great to spend time with you, Chris, and to learn about not only your job role, but how you manage the team behind you and how you support radiotherapy treatments for our patients. So thank you for your time.
No problem, Catherine. Thank you.